Ooh, hello, hello. Ooh, I want to throw up our really cool banner on the bottom. There it is, the Real Football Fans of New Jersey. Welcome to another episode. We are so excited to, be here another Wednesday evening or whatever day you're listening to the podcast. Whether we always say, draw yourself a bath, do something fun, go work out, listen to the podcast. It's going to be the best thing you've ever listened to. We guarantee. We are so excited to be back with you. Episode 168. We are moving, grooving, everything like that. Katie, how are you doing tonight? Besides the internet issues, how's it going?
You know what? It's so weird. We finally have a Wednesday where it's not like a monsoon outside, no thunder, no lightning, but for whatever crazy reason, tonight is the night that my internet decides to be a little bit wacky. So I'm hoping to be here with you the entire time. And if not, I know we're just going to roll with it as we always do.
We're just going to keep moving and grooving. I'm going to keep moving side to side because I got to show love to my Tua jersey. I've had it for about 6 months now. It's signed. It's finally framed and up on the wall, and it's a perfect backdrop for the Real Football Fans in New Jersey. But thank you again for, joining us. So we are so excited because we have a very, very special guest with us tonight. So I'm going to go ahead and introduce her now. I can see her smiling in the studio. I'm going to bring her on. So this is Ariana Rizzolo. Hello, Ariana. How are you?
I'm good.
Wow.
That's good. It's all right. You don't have to say hello. I feel like sometimes our guests don't even say hello to us, so it's fine. So we are so excited to have you on. We have been promoting today as you as a future NFL player because you are a football player, and we are just so thrilled to learn all about you, learn about everything, find out everything you want to tell us about the Giants, about football, everything you have for us. So we're just going to go ahead and get right into it. So our first question for you, and just for our audience, just tell us wow, I can't speak tonight. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm 9 years old. I go to Santa Grove School. I have a big brother and a sister. I love to play football, lacrosse, and softball.
Well, that's awesome.
My brother goes to Penn State, and my sister goes to the Randolph High School.
Oh, okay. Are you a Penn State football fan? Okay.
All right. So that must have been exciting. So we know that you met Saquon Barkley. So that was probably exciting for you because he was a Penn Stater and now obviously a New York Giant. That's great. Awesome. Well, listen, hopefully that, all three of those sports transition to Randolph High School and maybe potentially Penn State. Who knows? You can be a 3-sport athlete there. I'd like to see that.
By the way, Ariana, a little fun fact about Caitlin and I. We went to West Essex High School in North Caldwell, and Saquon, just this past weekend, he held a football camp at our high school. So we are like, Caitlin and I, he goes there quite a bit, actually.
Yes.
And Caitlin and I have decided that we need to just camp out at the bleachers and be there whenever he's there because Daniel Jones has been there. Sterling Shepard has been there. They work out a lot. And we're not too far from Randolph. So we all got to go catch them at these camps.
We'll just got to hitch a ride with us and we'll go get them. All righty. So our second question for you. So you obviously brought up that you played football, and that's amazing. Katie and I envy that so much that you're out there playing football, as a 9-year-old, as a girl. I love it. So when did you start playing football? Tell us a little bit about that.
Oh, well, I started playing football in 2nd grade, and
you've been playing ever since, right?
Yeah, I've been playing ever since.
Did it start, was it like flag football to start?
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. I honestly didn't even know that. So kudos to Randolph for having programs where you can enter that early and play. I don't even know. I just think it's amazing. So awesome. All righty. So what position do you play?
Oh, I play multiple positions.
Love it.
I play slot, which is basically like you can run the ball but also catch. And then I play center, some quarterback, and defensive end.
Wow.
How's the quarterback position treating you? Because once you get to the NFL, it's a little tough being a quarterback. So how is that going for you now?
It's good. Really good.
What's your favorite out of all the positions you play?
Slot.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's fun. You get to run and catch. That's awesome.
Well, we had a question one time on the show of what position do you think you would play in football? And I was so happy. Katie said that I would be a cornerback. And I am not, like, I feel like I'm like a big baby. So like the fact that she said that I would be a defensive player, I was like, wow. I was like, that's so, like, that's the biggest compliment I've ever got in my life.
I would play wide receiver. I definitely would want to play offense, and I want to be out there scoring touchdowns.
Getting the touchdowns.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Ariana,
How many have you scored?
Only one.
Only one. Oh my God.
I have not scored.
I don't
any
believe
touchdowns.
that. For some reason, I don't believe it.
In the pictures that we have of you, it looks like you're making big plays. So that's definitely exciting for sure. So it's obviously an interesting dynamic because you are the only girl on your team. So I'm thrilled to hear that. You know, you don't want to have like 30 girls in a team. It's whatever. That's a girls team then. So how is it being the only girl on the team? Can you describe that for us a little bit?
Well, it's it's kind of good because like I get the most attention.
I love
and
it.
I get to like run the ball more, and I get to play more.
Okay.
That's awesome.
Very cool.
As you should get the attention, because you're definitely setting a path for many other girls who might not think that they're able to go and do that, able to play football on a boys team. And so it's very impressive, and you're definitely carving a path for other girls who might be interested in playing football as well. Maybe thought that they couldn't, and you're out there proving that you can absolutely be out there with the boys and be kicking butt.
Honestly, my niece comes to mind. I think I'm going to sign her up for football like tomorrow. Like she would be like the perfect. She's like a mini you, to be honest. But that truly is great, you know. And I do love I love hearing the positive feedback about it. So like your experience so far being the only girl on the team has been good. So I do love that. And as Katie said, the attention should be on you for sure.
Yeah.
So this is a little bit of a loaded question. You know, you are young, but you are our future. So Katie and I want to look into the future a little bit. So when you think about girls in the future, when it comes to sports and football and things like that, you know, kind of what does that look like to you?
Well, I think women are really strong and that they can play sports really good. We can play football just like boys.
You're making me tear up, girl.
I know. And yeah, we can. Probably more back in my prime. If someone tackled me now, I'd low-key probably cry, to be honest. But like, again, I'm just a big baby. But back, I feel you. I honestly like low-key want to just like get a time machine and just go back in time right now and play football. So. Yeah. Katie, I feel like we had it in us. We should have done it.
We definitely did. I'm very, very, very jealous that we did not do this when we were kids. So we're going to have to live vicariously through you, Ariana.
I got to tell you, Ariana, we have met like a ton of like NFL players. Like we've had some like really popular guests on this show. I think we're the most envious of you for going out there and playing football. Like that's like what we want to do. So honestly, like I've never been more jealous in my life right now.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I thought that was a great answer. And really, I think you are paving a way for a lot of, you know, females and women in the future. You know, you're doing what you love clearly, and you're not letting anything in regards to gender or any other barrier, you know, get in your way. So I think that's great. So all the power to you there. Alrighty, so Katie and I are obviously repping our Eli Manning jerseys because we obviously love Eli, but more importantly, you met Eli Manning at a lacrosse. I know. Why was I not playing lacrosse when Eli Manning's daughters were?
The jealousy
continues. But you met Eli Manning, so just tell us about that. We would love to hear about it.
Well, so basically, I was at the lacrosse part of it, and my dad's friend or something said, "Oh my gosh, look, that's Eli Manning." So my dad walked over there and he was like, "Where?" He was right in front of him, and his friend was like, "In the pink shirt." So my dad saw, and then my mom came over to me and told me about it and wanted to get a picture with him. So basically, it was kind of cool. I mean,
Your
really,
mom is smart. I would have darted to Eli Manning as well for a picture. Well, the picture is great. I have to admit, I loved your bucket hat that you were wearing in the picture. You got to tell me where you got that because I want it. So probably at the tournament, because when I was doing lacrosse tournaments, that's where I got my first pair of Crocs. To be honest, that's where I got all my cool swag. But I love that bucket hat. But yeah, honestly, so I give you didn't look nervous at all. If Katie and I met Eli Manning, we'd be crying. We'd be probably on like life support. We would not be doing well. But that is very cool. We have the picture of you meeting Saquon as well. So I give you a lot of props for being very cool, calm, and collective when meeting these players because Katie and I have met a bunch of them and we're not cool, calm, and collective.
No.
There's a lot of tears. More for me. I cry a lot when I meet these players because I love them so much. I cry. You love them so much. So on the topic of, Giants players and everything like that, who is your favorite Giants player?
Saquon Barkley.
Oh, I love it. He's good. He is good. And we're hoping, obviously for a very healthy recovery. We've seen a lot of stuff, over the past couple of weeks of him working out and getting back into it. And he looks pretty healthy in my opinion. The quads on him are getting a little bigger and that's a little scary in my opinion. They were a little big to begin with, but I do love that for sure. Katie, who's your favorite Giants player?
It's definitely all time. It's definitely Eli. No questions asked, no comparison. I don't think that will ever change over the course of my lifetime. What he's done for the Giants organization is something that we might not see again. And a close second, I would say, Mr. Michael Strahan.
Yeah.
Also, he's done a lot for the organization as well. But we got a good current squad, a lot of young guys, and I'm excited to see kind of who becomes fan favorites because we are a young squad, and obviously Saquon is kind of like the face of that, and hoping for a big year from him as well, bouncing back from injury.
Yeah, and I think it's such a good team, Ariana, to have at your age and really, looking at these young guys unfold. It's a really good time for you to understand the players, what they're doing and everything like that. I look back like years back and I'm like, I remember the key guys and everything like that, but it's a really exciting time for the New York Giants. So I'm excited for you to this be, one of the teams in your early fandom years to really get to know and to watch and like truly get excited about.
Ariana, do you ever get to go to Giants games in person?
No.
Not yet. Oh, you got to go. You got to get tickets.
We're going to try.
We can be at MetLife this year, so we're hoping, Caitlin and I are hoping to get some tickets this year and maybe attend a game or two, but you definitely got to go.
Definitely. I think my first game, I was probably like 10 or 11 years old. So it's a lot. It's a lot to handle but it's a great experience. So Katie and I obviously go a lot now that we're older. But it truly is great, but great segue. So what are you looking forward to most this season from the Giants?
Win, maybe?
Yeah. Maybe to make it to the playoffs.
Oh,
yeah. Oh, I'm looking forward to it.
That's fair. That's a hopefully an attainable goal this year. We would definitely like to see that as Giants fans.
You got to put the good vibes out into the atmosphere.
The good vibes into the universe, Ariana. We need it.
Maybe they should come watch you play a game and be like, come on.
You would you would definitely inspire them, I think.
Get those W's. So who do you think is going to be the most impactful player for us this season?
I don't know.
Katie and I think about it every day, so it's a tough question.
Maybe Saquon or a new wide receiver that we just got.
Yeah. That wide receiver position is very important for the New York Giants this year. So it's not even, it could be, what do we have, like 6 of them right now? It could be all 6 of them could be a crucial crucial player this season.
Definitely this offseason biggest pickup for the Giants, Kenny Golladay, and we're definitely hoping, like you said, that he is super impactful because he will hopefully be a big part of our offense for sure.
Absolutely. All right. Well, we obviously learned a lot about you, Ariana, in the past 15 minutes or so. Do you have any questions or anything else that you want to talk about with Katie and myself?
You
got a list?
Well, actually, I just got one.
Okay.
It says, are you going to any Giants games this year?
So we definitely have plans for sure. So I think one of the biggest games we like to go to preseason games. Those are a big thing for us because the tickets are cheaper, obviously. And it's not something that you get too anxious about. And Katie and I get pretty mental about the game. So it's something that you can kind of just relax and have fun at. And again, ticket prices are a lot cheaper. But one of the crucial games that we probably will attend this year is actually the Eagles play the Giants the day before my 30th birthday. So we're trying to, rally the troops and get a decent amount of people to go to that. And it's the first time that the Giants are playing the Eagles since they last saw each other. So it's going to be a big redemption game. Other than that, though, Katie, I would say we probably average anywhere from 2 to 3 games a season.
Yeah, I would say I always try to make it to a preseason game and at least one regular season game. So, sometimes Caitlin and I get lucky. We know a couple people that have season tickets.
Yeah.
Sometimes, definitely, I will say when December rolls around and it's really, really cold out in New Jersey, not as many people want to go to the game. So that's kind of when we get tickets sometimes.
A lot easier.
We're willing to freeze our butts off at MetLife. So,
we've been literally frozen to the core, and that's fine.
We'll probably be at least 2 games, I would say.
Yeah. So if you do end up going to a game, you definitely have to let us know which one you go to. Katie and I also would love to know when football season comes around for Randolph, for you to let us know your schedule. We would absolutely love to come to a game and cheer you on, get some pics, put them on all of our social accounts, get some more support for obviously Randolph youth football, because clearly you guys are doing something right. Right. Well, actually, I don't know, Kate, we're probably the same distance, but Randolph's right up the road from me. So you guys are doing
not far.
all the right things right up the road for sure.
Also, I think you need our phone numbers because if you ever see Eli at a lacrosse tournament,
we're coming.
You need to call us.
We're running.
Jump in our cars and come.
You got to FaceTime us. You got anything that you need to do.
Absolutely.
Okay.
But all right. Well, if that is that it?
Do you have one more question?
I have one more question.
Okay.
How many have you met any football players?
Oh, this is like a laundry list.
We're getting a list. We kind of have a list now.
Okay, so something that's fun that Katie and I do. So I'm not sure if you guys are aware of Giants super fan license plate guy. So he's a huge fan of the New York Giants. He does a lot of charity work for them and everything like that. Long blonde hair, you can't miss him. He's a big fan. He has a bunch of license plate. That's how he got his name. So he does a charity softball game every year. It was with Landon Collins. It was with Brandon Jacobs for a while. So Katie and I were actually able to go to 2 of them. We met a ton of people both times. We met Landon Collins at a meet and greet. So who are the other players that we met?
I would definitely say that at the last softball game was one of the biggest ones. We took a picture and met Daniel Jones.
Oh, that was big.
Yeah.
He's very tall. Very tall.
Who else? I mean, we met Evan Ingram, right?
Mm-hmm.
We met
Dalvin Tomlinson. He doesn't play for the Giants anymore. That was the one I cried at because he played at Alabama. So I'm a huge Alabama football fan. So when every time they transfer over, I love it.
I randomly ran into Victor Cruz at a Dunkin' Donuts in town.
Yes.
And Caitlin cries. I froze, and the first things that came out of my mouth was, "Can I hug you?"
Yeah,
he obliged, and
he did hug her.
And so that was pretty cool. We're very lucky that where we live, a lot of the Giants players
are around
the area. So you never know when you could just run into one at a Dunkin' Donuts.
Yeah.
Well, I think
yeah.
we just heard that Saquon moved to Montville.
I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah.
He did. I'm in real estate. I'm a real estate agent, and I kind of scope out where some of them live, and he does in fact live in Montville. So.
We do that from time to time. We know where they live in a non-creepy way.
Stalkers by any means.
But yeah, we met Darius Slayton his rookie season, so that was really exciting. Katie loved that pick, so she was really happy to meet him. We honestly at that one we met like a lot of older Giants too. Who'd we meet?
Sean O'Hara,
a ton of them. Like really, like yeah. The big guys like Eli, we've never met, but I don't know. I gotta like prep myself every day if I run into Eli Manning. So
one day, hopefully.
That's great. Awesome.
All righty. Well, this has been a tremendous conversation. Ariana, we are so happy that you were able to join us on this episode. Again, like I said, we put out promotions today and people were super excited to have you on. This is something that I don't think a lot of Giants podcasts are doing. We got to get the future on, and we absolutely got the future on today with you. Keep kicking butt. Playing football, doing all the things that we wish we could do on a daily basis. But with that being said, thank you so much for joining us. And we really do appreciate it.
Yes. Thank you, Ariana.
Thank you for everything.
Oh, of course. And hopefully we'll get to a game as soon as they start. Oh, yes. The dog that I'm watching has the zoomies. So sorry, I got distracted.
Thanks, guys.
Of course. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. All righty. Let's kick it off. So I was going to I want to grab Athena. I'll get more clout probably. Come here.
Our other special.
She ran away from me.
Guest. I saw a tail. I see a tail.
She keeps on. No. And a bark. No barking. We're live.
We're live. No barking.
We're live. This is a live session. I think I actually have to. I feel bad. I had to. Okay. I feel bad I had to kick them out of the studio, but it's so mean. Like when you want to like kick someone out of the studio, it really says kick them out of the studio, but you're just like bye. And I didn't mean that, but oh my God, that was such a great interview. What?
Ariana, she is like living our dream.
She's literally living the dream. She's meeting Eli Manning. She's playing football and she's playing every position in football. Hold on a second. Come here. There she is.
Here she is. Hi, baby. You know who she looks like right now? She looks like Belichick's dog who does the drafting.
That's who I have with us right now.
This is Nike, Bill Belichick's dog.
Hi. I know. You want to play, but we're live. I know. I'm sorry.
I'm glad we got her little face in.
Go. I threw her toy. She can go grab it.
Our other special guest of the night.
Alrighty, but again, like guys, like we are so thrilled to have Ariana on the show tonight. It was such a, such a unique actually like meeting with that. So I actually do Orange Theory with her mom. Mm-hmm. And her mom follows, the show. She was interacting on Instagram. I think she actually gave me a recommendation for when we had our 100th episode and I was trying to look for hair and makeup and stuff. She gave me a recommendation. And then she was, something recently, a couple of weeks ago, she just popped up back in, into my messages and she was like, oh, my daughter met Eli. And I was like, oh my God, like send me the pictures. So it's great how things, paths cross like that. Truly, truly great to have her on. And I love it. So
absolutely.
All righty. More football talk.
Well, she got me pumped to talk about football. So let's get into the big stories of the week in the world of football. We are starting, of course, with NFL quick hot topics. This first one is definitely a bummer. I mean, I'm not a Rams. I'm not even a Rams fan, but like I felt this one. So
I think the whole like NFL community, like
Yesterday, news broke that Rams running back Cam Akers tore his Achilles while training on Monday, and this is just 1 week before training camp was set to start. He is going to miss the entire 2021 season. You absolutely hate to see that. Like, you hate to see season-ending injuries, Like, it's one thing if it happens in the middle of the season, maybe you got some games in, but to see it happen like right before training camp is about to start, it's definitely upsetting. I definitely feel for him. He's a young back. He was their leading rusher from last season. Next man up on the depth chart for the Rams, they've got Darrell Henderson Jr., which begs the question, are they going to poke around into free agency?
I feel like they have to. It's nothing. Yeah, and it's nothing against him.
Yeah, no, but you might as well just like add guys into the mix. And there's definitely some veteran names that are still out there in free agency. You've got Le'Veon Bell, you've got Tom Gurley, you've even got Frank Gore still. So there are guys.
Old man Gore is still trucking people.
Even if they're just there to split carries or help another young back out, kind of make his way, they definitely need to bring somebody else in. But definitely very heartbreaking to hear for Cam Akers, because I think he has a bright future ahead of him. I'm sure he was going to be a decently high drafted running back in fantasy football this year.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
So it's a real bummer, and we hope for a speedy recovery for him. I guess the only bright outlook of it happening now is that his 2022 season should be, he should be ready to go, because he has all this time now to kind of take care and rehab and not have to rush the rehab too. So, but again, very upsetting, and speedy recovery to him. I know that's a heartbreaking injury. So
yeah, and a very a tough one too. Like that hurts. Like rupturing your.
Both of my parents did it. My one, I can't remember who did what. One of my parents tore their Achilles. One of them ruptured their Achilles. Yeah. And it's a pretty difficult injury. So,
you are basically like, you can't walk. It's just
So it's good that he'll have the time to not rush the rehab and take the steps that he needs to take.
I agree.
On Monday, also, we have more news that broke. Los Angeles Chargers defensive end Melvin Ingram finding a new home, signing a 1-year deal with the Pittsburgh Steelers. He had also attracted interest from Kansas City and Miami during the offseason, but he is joining a Pittsburgh team that was looking for a veteran contributor on the edge after, of course, losing Bud Dupree in free agency. That was a big hole that they kind of needed to try to fill a little bit. Ingram had previously spent his entire 9-year career with the Chargers. We saw him last year on Hard Knocks. He is... he's getting older. Obviously, this is going to be his 10th season in the NFL, but he's still a high quality player. And this is a great pickup for a Steelers defense that, minus, of course, the exit of Bud Dupree in free agency, is still one of the best defenses in the league. So this is just adding great fuel to an already well-lit fire, I guess,
Yeah, I guess he just fell under my radar. I guess it was something when the news broke, I was just like, oh, I think it was just something that slipped. I wasn't really looking, waiting, see.
You kind of forget at this point who the free agents are. Yeah. Because the buzz is a little bit quiet and things have quieted down, but there are tons of big names still out there. And Melvin Ingram was one of them. So
but good for the Steelers if he comes and he performs on an already set defense, you just said, and performs on a season that ended really shittily for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Good for them for waiting this long and snatching him and literally the 11th hour.
Right.
Good for them.
Absolutely.
Steal. If not, though, it just sucks.
Yeah. And then this last one, I know Caitlin and I are very excited about this. I think, honestly, the world is excited about.
Oh my God, yes.
More news that broke on Monday. It was announced that Peyton and Eli Manning will co-host a Monday Night Football megacast on ESPN2 for 10 games each for the next 3 NFL seasons. Yes, I'm so excited. I know people have honestly been on the edge of their seats waiting to hear since Peyton retired, when is he going to start broadcasting? When is it going to happen? But the broadcast is going to be taking place remotely. And what I think is really cool is it's going to include guests and celebrity appearances throughout the season. So it's going to be really cool to see who they bring on.
We got to get on somehow. Someone.
Can we be the guest? That would be
it should be Watch What Happens Live.
Let's get Ariana on the show.
She's better than us. I'll get her on her.
Live vicariously through Ariana.
She can get on before us, so I'll be okay with that. I'll be okay with that.
Super excited. Obviously, this is gonna be taking, like I said, it's gonna take place remotely. Eli's still living in New Jersey. I think Peyton lives in Tennessee. Yeah. Obviously Eli signed with the New York Giants in the offseason to go back to working in the office side of things. So his home base will be here. But yeah, I think it's going to be great. I'm really excited to watch it. ESPN2. I'm glad it's not like ESPN 8 the Ocho. I'm pretty sure most of us get ESPN2. So I'm going to be watching that. That's the broadcast I'm watching. Yes. So I'm very excited.
It's 1,000% the one I'm watching, especially because I hate Monday night games. They drive me up the wall because I'm tired.
Sometimes they get a little bit stale, depending on, especially if it's two teams that don't really make a difference to you and your team. It could get a little bit stale. So I think the Manning brothers will help spice it up.
Yeah. I want to watch 8 p.m. football on a Monday then. Obviously, we're putting the Giants, even when the Giants play, I'm still pissed that it's at 8 p.m. on a Monday. Yeah. It's not as bad as Sunday night football, but it's still up there with the worst. It's not prime time. The NFL, if you're listening, that is not prime time.
Yeah, no. Caitlin needs her sleep.
Stop it. I need my 10 hours of sleep. Alrighty, so let's continue our football run here with obviously week after week coming with you with our record predictions, our worst case scenarios for every single division in the league. What is this, week 4 for us? 3, 4? 1, 2. Yes, it's 4.
No, we've already done 4 divisions so far.
This is our 5th.
AFC, NFC East. We did the AFC, NFC North, and here we are doing the AFC South.
Alrighty, so we are on the AFC South, and that is for y'all, the Texans, the Colts, the Jaguars, and the Tennessee Titans. So obviously, let's roll into it. So we have Houston on the docket first. What do you have with the best and worst case scenarios? And probably the most interesting team on this list, in my opinion, because the QB position is still a massive question mark.
Yeah. Definitely we are starting with the hardest team to predict out of these 4 because like Caitlin said, we have no idea what to expect. I think when we look at these best case, worst case scenarios, this is the team where it's okay, best case scenario, they have Deshaun Watson, and this is what I think. And worst case scenario, no offense to him, it's Tyrod Taylor, which isn't a horrible situation.
It's really not.
Starting quarterback in the league before. But when you look at worst case scenario, it's without Deshaun Watson. So, best case scenario, and to be honest with you, at this point in time, and we're getting close to the start of the season, I'm expecting it's going to be Tyrod Taylor. That's where I'm at right now. Best case scenario, I'm going 7-10.
Okay.
And worst case scenario, I'm going 3-14. I think this team is a little bit of a dumpster fire, especially mainly with the situation going on with Watson. But I do want to say that regardless of who's playing quarterback, I just feel as though this is a team that doesn't have weapons. They don't have big name players. They've traded away big name players like DeAndre Hopkins, J.K. Watt. I don't see a bright future for this team. I see them going downhill.
I think my biggest argument with the Texans, and the dumpster fire that we're talking about, is you'll see arguments coming out of Green Bay, out of Seattle, that you didn't build around Rodgers. You didn't build around Wilson. The Giants could make that argument in years past. You didn't build around Eli Manning in his later years. While the Texans didn't build around Deshaun Watson and they gave away things that he had, they didn't build anywhere in the organization. Right. So where was the time, the effort, the mentality, the money? Where was that going to? Nowhere. So that's the biggest question mark for me, for them. So I'm not playing nice here because I don't think there's anything to be nice about them, and there's no bright spot. Best case scenario, I'm going 5-12, and worst case scenario, I'm dropping to 4-13.
Yeah, and I think both you and I can probably agree that we're leaning more towards realistically a worst case scenario for this team, like you said. And yeah, I think things are going to get ugly. And you know what? It's kind of a stat that I always paid close attention to because I was always really upset with the Giants offensive line and like how often Eli and Daniel Jones would get sacked. But it was always Deshaun Watson that was the most sacked quarterback in the league. So as much as I couldn't stand our offensive line, the Houston Texans had the worst one in the National Football League. So if Deshaun Watson can't find success behind that line, it's not going to happen for Tyrod Taylor.
Oh, no.
It's not going to be good.
No, not at all.
No.
All righty. Moving into the Indianapolis Colts, which to me is definitely interesting. A team that's on a rise, but a brand new quarterback. So let's look at that. So best worst case scenario you got.
This is a very popular dark horse candidate for a lot of people. A lot of people like quietly think this is a team that's going to make quite a bit of noise this NFL season. Best case scenario, I have them at 11-6, and worst case scenario, I have them at 8-9. I do have them closer to the best case scenario, I think. But I did note that they probably have the hardest opening schedule I've seen so far.
Yep.
As crazy as this sounds, and I don't think this is indicative of the team that they are and the talent that they have. Worst case scenario, this team could go 0-5 to start the season because their first 5 games, Seattle, the Rams, at Tennessee, at Miami, at Baltimore. That's brutal. Yeah. That's going to be a huge, huge opening stretch.
I think Miami is the only really, like, if you're a better and you're a game,
you have to include them in a hard stretch because they were a playoff team last year. So
absolutely.
Like you've got all of these teams were playoff teams last year. You're opening your season against 5 playoff teams from the year before.
Yeah.
How unlucky is that? So that's a huge test for this Colts team.
Yeah. Well, we're not very far off from each other. So best case scenario, I'm going with 10-7, and worst case scenario, we do agree with the 8-9 record.
Okay. Right on par with each other then.
Absolutely. All righty. So moving down south to Florida, we are going with the Jacksonville Jaguars with the new fresh QB, the new fresh head coach. A little freshiness going down in Jacksonville.
Yeah, 1-win team last year, but obviously they're hoping that will definitely be different with quarterback Trevor Lawrence. Best case scenario is 7-10. Worst case scenario is 4-13. And I feel like you're going to tell me that I was generous. I don't know. But I do feel as though they have a really easy schedule. So I think that definitely influenced my choices here. They definitely need to capitalize. And I've said this for a couple of teams that, are on the lower end of the totem pole. Those teams need to capitalize on their winnable games on their schedule. Right. Jacksonville's got to try to beat teams like Denver, Atlanta, and the New York Jets on their schedule.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
So that's where I'm at. But in general, I felt they had an easier schedule, and they got to see what they can do with it.
I just think it's very hard. And I don't think I'm not going to call you like overly generous or anything like that. To me, it's just so difficult to bounce back from a 1-win season.
Of course.
And I don't care if you're bringing on, whatever, Trevor Lawrence. I get it. And in the future's great, but the future's not right away. And I know it's not just going to happen overnight. And I just pray that these fans in Jacksonville and just people that are betting people just aren't being dumb and things like that. You guys be realistic about things. Yeah. So best case scenario, I'm going 5-12, and worst case scenario, I'm going 3-14.
Okay. All right.
Alrighty, and to round out this division, one of the most exciting teams I'm looking forward to this season, because coming off of last season and some off-season moves they've made, the Tennessee Titans, best worst case scenario.
Depending on the day, I feel like I don't know which team I would consider better, the Colts or the Titans. I do feel as though they're kind of pretty much on par with each other. So I actually only have Tennessee slightly higher than Indy, only because, like I said, Indy's got a pretty tough schedule. I have the Titans best case scenario at 12-5 and worst case scenario at 9-8. I did write down that I think the Colts and the Titans should make it one of their season goals to sweep Houston and Jacksonville.
Right, they have to.
Because they
Absolutely.
totally can. So they need to sweep those games. And then the Titans, as far as their tough games go, that they got quite a few of them. They're playing on the road against Seattle, home against Buffalo, home against Kansas City, and on the road at the Steelers. So those are some tough games that are going to be challenging for them. But again, I think them and the Colts will have successful seasons. I do see both of them being playoff teams.
Yeah, so from the previous division, we do have a quote. I see the Colts beating the Seahawks and the Dolphins. The Seahawks defense wasn't very good last year, and let's see if they can protect Wilson. So 2-3 start. So, hey, a 2-3 start is a lot better than an 0-5 start. So.
Like a 2-3 start, again, I feel like doesn't do that team justice. That they're a good team. It's just that's a brutal, brutal start.
And then also, too, depending on what Stafford, that's a big, huge question mark, I think, with everyone's mind. So absolutely. So great points there. And obviously, thanks for watching, Just Your Average Joe, and continuing to comment. We're very close on this one, too. The Titans, for me, I have best case scenario 11-6. Worst case scenario, I agree with you with 9-8. So very exciting team. And again, very exciting from coming off last year and in the off season, everything that they've done. So I'm really looking forward to watching them.
Yep, definitely. All right. Well, let's get into our big stories of the week in the world of housewives. We do have one, but it is housewives quick hot topics. So we always do this in football a lot.
Hot topics.
We're rounding out some hot topics in the world of housewives. So on Friday, drama came about for the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. Obviously,
so random.
Not on air right now, but they have been filming for season 2, and we should expect it. Yeah, we're expecting season 2 in either late 2021, we read, or early 2022. But on Friday, drama came about when Mary Crosby took to her Instagram account to post, and these are strong words, that Heather is racist. So I have the post. She said, if you want to know why I blocked Heather Gay, it's because Heather Gay is a racist. She admitted and owned it, and she knows it. Let's speak truth. And then the caption read, if you want my truth, ask me. I never did anything to Heather. She's a Karen. I don't tolerate haters. That's, to me, the most whoa part of that is she admitted and owned it, and she knows it. In what world we watched the season 1 reunion where they got Heather got very defensive over even being close to being called racist.
Yeah.
So I don't know what's happening here.
I don't know what's happening either, too, because on the reunion with Jen, when she was calling all the white women on the show racist, Mary was kind of no. She was like,
and honestly, Mary it was season 1 reunion, season 1. Mary was questioned about a lot of things as a Black woman, things that she was saying, like being scared to drive to going to a 7-Eleven when Black people are standing outside of it. She said some really, really questionable things. So I don't know where this is coming from, where it stemmed from. What's also interesting is Heather has yet to react to these accusations.
Nor anyone really. I feel like I haven't people reacting to the post and being what the hell is going on, but no really other insider information, I feel.
Part of it to me is okay, good for Heather for not reacting to it. But at the same time, if someone were to call me racist, I would never be able to sit back and not speak my truth, which is no, I am not.
No,
because that's a really, really, really heavy accusation.
Hard. Yeah.
And you wouldn't want something like that. If you want to call somebody, if you wanted to call me the B word or whatever, okay, I'm not going to react.
Or ignorant on a subject or something. I don't know, that. Yeah, that whole
heavy duty accusation, and it's going to be really.
I remember sending that to you, and I was just what
is going on? But I truthfully think we are going to see season 2 happen in 2021. I don't think 2022. They started filming pretty quickly. Again, we only got half a season for season 1. COVID was pretty much happening as they ended.
Right.
So it kind of cut things short. And so I don't know. I think Bravo's going to deliver that to us before the end of the year. And then Erica Jane, obviously always in the headlines dealing with all that she is dealing with, but more money trouble with the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills star, who was hit with a $25 million claim in Tom's bankruptcy proceedings. A lawyer overseeing the filing claimed that Erica received over $25 million from Tom's firm, which is money she owes amid claims that the firm embezzled money from clients. The claim states that Erica and her businesses received jewelry, other luxury items, and lottery payments totaling $25 million. It's just never going to end.
No.
Well, eventually it will, and seems to be that it's going to end ugly. What do you see in the future for Erica?
I don't know. So most recently on the show, it's been brought up, and that's been the most like common like topic of discussion like now on the show, because everything's out there, and she's just like basically saying she didn't see how this was gonna this was how it would play out and everything like that. It's constantly coming up, and now like that it's out there like that people can go after her for her money. I kind of question like what money, like wasn't it his? Like I don't see a great I don't know, I don't see good things for her in the future. So in regards to like her future with Housewives and Bravo, I actually don't really see it because there's going to be too much probably like in the weeds and like stickiness. I know Bravo loves the drama and they want to bring on people with storylines, but this might get to a point where it's getting too down and too dirty and ugly. And again, like, I think the fact that like now that people can go after like her money, essentially, I don't know how much she's going to have left if people can actually start doing that.
Right. We will keep delivering the news as it unfolds because it is always unfolding and always open for all of us. So we'll keep everybody posted on that. And then more Real Housewives of Beverly Hills news with one of our Beverly Hills gals.
I'm excited about this.
Yeah, except we still don't have Peacock. So
I have to get Peacock. I'll get it for this. No, I will. I get it for this.
Okay. So Kyle Richards is set to star in Peacock's first original holiday movie called The Real Housewives of the North Pole.
I am like, this is it. Like, this is my thing, people. I love it.
I love Christmas movies. It is set to premiere on Peacock later this year. I do have a little bit of what it is about. So Kyle's going to star alongside actress Betsy Brandt as Trish and Diana. Those are their characters. Two close friends who have been dubbed the Christmas Queens of North Pole, Vermont, after winning the best holiday house decorating competition every year for the past 9 years. But their friendship is put into jeopardy after the two get into an argument just days before Christmas. The feud causes a serious divide in the town and catches the attention of a national magazine writer looking to jumpstart her career with a scintillating expose titled Real Housewives of the North Pole.
I love it. I love these like the Hallmark, all those like holiday movies. Like me and my sister like thrive off of those like movies. So what is it? It's it's Hallmark, and what's the other one?
Lifetime.
Oh yeah, I literally love them. So
we need to get Peacock. We need to Christmas time getting our jammies. We need to bake some Christmas cookies, break up the wine, and we need to watch this. And
we'll watch it, and we'll give a full review.
Yes.
We should do one of those, like we can watch it like in real time first, like just the two of us. But then we need to
video.
Yeah, we have to do like what's that was called, like the People's Couch or something. What was that show called?
Yes, I love that.
We literally need to do that. Like full reaction to it. Oh yeah, I'm just so excited. Like as much as like I'm loving summer and everything like that. Like I love Christmas. I love it. So
absolutely,
I love all of them.
All right.
Alrighty, so let's get into our game tonight. It is a football one. It is a fantasy football one. And listen, It may be a little bit early, but I've actually, a lot of the fantasy football talk is a coming. It's here, people. It's already here.
Yeah.
So our game, it is a original for us. It's you can get with this or you can get with that. And it is early fantasy football edition. So we're giving you basically our first piece of content for fantasy advice, whatever you want to take. So we're giving you positions, 2 players, and we're just telling you who we'd rather have from a fantasy standpoint.
These are hard. I want to just give like a little sneak peek. I asked my husband to play this with me last night after I already had my answer.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm curious who you would pick. And I gave him all of them. It wasn't until there's 10 of them. It wasn't until number 7 that we both had the same answer. So these are really hard, thought-provoking choices. And I'm very interested to see how long it takes you and I to match up on them.
That's definitely true. And it's so funny, when I picked my things, I wanted to do the same thing with my boyfriend because like we actually last year we owned a fantasy team together. So like we were actually very like in lockstep.
Are you on the same page?
So no, I actually couldn't get him. He was super busy today. So I couldn't grab him for his intel. But I was thinking I was on the same page with you. I was like, let me pick his brain real quick and see. Listen, I'll do the show. I'll see. He's not watching right now. I can see that he's not. So shame on you, but Frank's not watching either. Shame on the 2 of you. But I'll just see afterwards and I'll report back next week. But yeah, my mind was definitely in the same spot. So let's go ahead. So like Katie said, we have 10 multiple positions here. So let's start with quarterbacks. We're going to go with Dallas's Dak Prescott and Arizona's Kyler Murray.
I thought I was going to go with Dak, but I went with Kyler. And I like Dak's throwing game better, but Kyler can get you more points with his running ability. Yep. So I'm going to give you Kyler's running stats from last year compared to the last full season from Dak Prescott in 2019. Kyler had 819 rush yards compared to Dak's 277. And Kyler had 11 rushing touchdowns compared to Dak's 3.
Yeah.
So I am giving the edge to Kyler Murray just for that fact.
So I played the running game with this one as well as a quarterback in fantasy. That's super important. And honestly, like unfortunately, Dak just coming off his injury, I don't know if
how much he's gonna run.
Forcing the run, how much they're actually going to try and attempt to do that. So he clearly has weapons at the wide receiver, and we'll actually get to that a little bit later. Spoiler alert. But I think they're going to try to do as much as they can without really trying to run him through a lot of things. As great as their offensive line is, like clearly like freak injuries like last year happened. So
there you go. It only took the very first one for you and I to match up.
All right, so I think we actually might disagree with this one, and I actually have an actual good real-time like tidbit. Hi, Tina. For this one, there you want to see she on camera? There she is. Say hi.
Hi, honey.
No, she was going to bark. I was saying no barking. We're live. So we're going with tight ends here. So Detroit's DJ Hawkinson or Baltimore's Mark Andrews.
Mark Andrews is a phenomenal tight end, but TJ Hawkinson is Detroit's offense. They don't have a lot of playmakers, and to me, he is the bright spot of that offense. Even with coming in with a new quarterback, Jared Goff, I still think he's going to have a big year, and I'm going with him.
So the interesting tidbit that I had here actually comes up. So spoiler, we're having a fantasy guest on our show next week, and we'll give you guys the actual details in the coming days because I'm not giving too much away. But we are talking fantasy next week with a great guest. But the individual actually tweeted out a scenario of who you want to start, who's going to be your bench, and who you're going to get rid of fantasy-wise. So he had Kyle Pitts, Mark Andrews, and TJ Hawkinson on the list. So I did actually go back and reply. I do want Kyle Pitts to be my starter if I did have that opportunity.
Yeah, I would pick that, yeah.
I'm going to put Mark Andrews on my bench. So I'm actually, in this scenario, I am taking Mark Andrews. I know TJ Hawkinson is the offense for Detroit, but I think it's good. So my reasoning was that he's going to have so many options and so many things thrown his way. The quality though, I don't see it. I don't know how much is going to be completed, how much he can actually do. So he might be the guy, and a lot of stuff might be going there, but I don't know what the quality is going to.
Yeah, I mean, Baltimore is definitely going to be the higher scoring offense. So like you can definitely spin it to that for sure. But I think having either one of these guys, it's pretty even for me. I like Mark Andrews. I actually like Mark Andrews better at the tight end position, but like I said, I'm going with TJ Hyathina. I'm going with Hawkinson because I feel as though he is like the focal point of the offense.
Give us some clout, girly.
Hi, baby girl. Oh, she's so pretty.
Okay, I'll put you down. She keeps like coming up to me and she wants to. I know. I'll play with you too. The show's still going on. Like, don't worry. Don't worry. Alrighty, let's go with running back. So Indianapolis, Jonathan Taylor or Jacksonville's James Robinson.
Both going into their sophomore seasons, both have phenomenal rookie seasons.
Yeah.
Jonathan Taylor finds the end zone a bit more, and for that reason alone, I'm going with him.
And for that reason, I'm out. No, I'm kidding. And for that reason, I am agreeing with you because, yes, he just gets his way, wiggles his way into there as a running back should, but very exciting for the two of them to see their sophomore seasons. But I'm agreeing with you here.
All right.
Number 4, let's go for wide receivers with Washington's Terry McLaurin or Carolina's Robbie Anderson.
Both playing with new quarterbacks with an asterisk next to it because Robbie Anderson is actually being reunited with Sam Darnold. They
Reunited and it feels so good.
And then McLaurin is obviously going to be playing with Ryan Fitzpatrick for the first time. This is pretty close, but the one knock on how great of a wide receiver Robbie Anderson is he just does not ever score enough touchdowns for whatever reason. I can't make sense of it. But for that, I'm going with Terry McLaurin.
As am I. And I just think that I guess it's like as the days go by, I don't know. And I just seeing his name is a little bit more of a threat in my opinion than Robbie Anderson.
Yeah.
And listen, maybe the reuniting with Sam Darnold might be this match made in heaven on a new era. And maybe that'll prove that shit was going down in New York with the Jets. But I don't know. I gotta wait. So what I saw, from McLaurin last year was just a little bit more impressive. So I'm gonna go with him as well.
All right.
All right, let's go. Kicker is always a fun position. I actually draft my kickers relatively early, and it's actually not like the second round. Relax, people. But I do it a lot earlier than some people, and it's always played out for me. Listen, I was like a 3-time winner last year, so you can't really knock my strategy. But we are going with Kansas City's Harrison Butker or Atlanta's Younghoe Koo.
Young Wei.
Oh, Young Wei. Wow, I'm so sorry.
Well, you said it how it's spelled, but it is Young Wei Koo. So listen, Harrison Butker obviously plays on the higher scoring team, but I'm going Young Wei Koo. He went 8 for 8 last year on field goals from 50 plus yards. That's going to get you when somebody's drilling 50 plus yard field goals. That's going to get you some nice points in fantasy football from the kicker position. And even though
kickers win games a lot of the times, a lot of weeks,
but even though Kansas City has the higher scoring offense, I feel as though you can play devil's advocate and say, yeah, Atlanta doesn't get in the red zone as much. So they are kicking maybe more field goals because they're not close enough to score touchdowns.
Yep.
So I'm going with Young Wei Koo.
That is a 1,000,000% reason why I picked him as well. Not only is he a phenomenal kicker, incredible, you have to look at the team dynamic. Mm-hmm. If he's a great kicker and the team is probably kicking a lot of field goals, you have to go after him. You have to.
They're definitely going to rely on him a lot.
All righty, so let's move into defense and special teams. We have the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Los Angeles Rams.
I'm a stat girl, and so when I look at defense and special teams, I really like to look at takeaways, meaning how many interceptions did the team get and how many fumbles did they recover. Last year, Pittsburgh had 27 compared to the Rams had 22 takeaways. I'm going with the Steelers.
So I'm going with the Rams on this one. So we are disagreeing yet again, a little bit more so than you and your husband. But I honestly think that And I guess like maybe I'm still like very hung up with like how like the Steelers like ended last year. And obviously we spoke about Mark Ingram going to Melvin Ingram going to the team like earlier. Like it's great, but I don't know. To me, I think the Rams just have like a little bit more of an edge here, and I just would pick them for sure.
All right.
Alrighty, coming back to quarterbacks, we have the Chargers' Justin Herbert or Tennessee's Ryan Tannehill.
I'm going with Justin Herbert. And what's interesting about these two is their stats from last year, they kind of like were pretty close to mirroring each other. So Justin Herbert, touchdown to interception ratio, 31-10. Tannehill did 33-7. That's pretty on par. Herbert had 66% completion percentage. Tannehill had 65. That's on par. The biggest difference, Justin Herbert threw for 517 more yards, and that's with playing one less game than Ryan Tannehill did. So Herbert's going to get more yards, and I'm going with him.
For me, I think it stems from the excitement in Los Angeles with Justin Herbert being such a stud in all the games he played last year. And I am going with him, obviously, if you didn't get that tone or get that sense. I think you've been a little bit more on the Ryan Tannehill train than I've been. I still, to this day will question the trade-off from Marcus Mariota to him. Clearly it's paid out in their favor. But I'll take that to the grave, that I'll always question that decision. But I think like just from a fantasy standpoint, like Justin Herbert like is your guy if you're trying to rack up points, if you're trying to move over week after week. There's a lot more people in Tennessee that are making, that are doing the wins, making the wins for them. And I don't think it's Ryan Tannehill.
Okay.
All righty, so back to wide receiver 2, and this is a Dallas 2-for-2 special. We have Dallas's CeeDee Lamb and then also Dallas's Amari Cooper.
This is my only one where I'm like kind of throwing the stats and all caution to the wind here. And I actually went with CeeDee Lamb, and it's not because I think he's more talented than Amari Cooper. Amari Cooper is obviously a proven player in the National Football League. He's a great wide receiver. I just have like kind of big expectations for CeeDee Lamb in year 2. I feel as though year 1 was great, but I feel like he still could have done better. Like people were expecting a little bit more. And I think in year 2, he's going to find that footing, and I think he's going to fulfill expectations. And I think it's going to be a big year for him. So I'm going with him.
I don't really think it is a surprise. I went with CeeDee Lamb as well. I've said this on the podcast from time to time. Dallas does not know how to use Amari Cooper. They do not use him well. I think it's absolutely atrocious, his move, from the Raiders to the Cowboys. I hated it in every which way, shape, or form. And I just don't I know what he's capable of, and I don't think they use him properly. So in that aspect, they're not going to use him properly for a fantasy owner to really get what they deserve out of a team. CeeDee Lamb coming up again, like you had said, on a very exciting season, in my opinion. So I am going to give it to him there.
All right.
This is an interesting one because I did have one of these individuals on my team last year, and maybe this swayed my decision. But we're going back to tight ends with the Denver Broncos' Noah Fant and Tampa Bay's Rob Gronkowski.
Obviously, I like Gronkowski's quarterback and his team better than Noah Fant.
Right.
But I'm taking youth on this one, and I still get very nervous about Rob Gronkowski playing all 16 games, well, now 17 games in a regular season. And Noah Fant is kind of like similar to how TJ Hawkinson's going to be the focal point at the tight end position. Noah Fant's also going to be a focal point in that offense. And so I like him. I like him slightly better than Gronk.
So Gronk, in my opinion, is high risk, medium reward.
Right.
He's not high reward. I wouldn't say high risk, high reward. Right. He's high risk, medium reward.
Okay.
Noah Fant right now with his youth is not a very high risk. While he did face an injury last season, he did, pretty much do very well for his fantasy owners and everything that he had to do. I'm going with him as well. And yes, I did have him last year, and I was very happy with that pick. Katie and I talked a ton about him before last season, calling him a dark horse in some scenarios and just really trying to talk him up before the season actually started. And I really do think it did pay off, and we knew what we were talking about. And he did perform. Obviously, the injury came into play. But listen, if you look at Gronk too, many injuries at play. So when I look at him, while he might be a well-known name, I don't think he's a person that you go after in fantasy and you don't jump at the opportunity right away.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then wrapping it up, this was probably the most difficult one on the list, and I could change my mind right now if I wanted to, but I'll lock in my answer as I locked it in earlier. We're going back to running backs, and we're going to the Las Vegas Raiders with Josh Jacobs and Cleveland's Nick Chubb.
I mean, if you get either one of these guys on you're golden, right?
Sailing, baby, sailing.
These guys are legit. I'm going with Nick Chubb. Last year, Nick Chubb, if you look at the yards that they had, rushing yards, Nick Chubb only had 2 more rushing yards than Josh Jacobs, but he did that playing just 12 games compared to Jacobs played 15 games. So he had more yards playing in 3 less games. I'm going with Chubb for that reason. But let's all keep in mind too, like fantasy, these 2 guys are both going to have to like share carries. Jacobs is going to be sharing carries with Kenyon Drake. Chubb is going to be sharing carries with Kareem Hunt. So as much as I do love these guys, there might be a couple of more backs that I would take ahead of them, just based on the fact of like, if there's a guy like Saquon who really is going to get, have to really share as many carries as these 2 guys will. Those are the kind of guys, a few of them that I would take before both of them.
Listen, if they're on the board, I'm taking both of them. I actually was lucky enough to have 2, not on the same team, but I had both of them last year. And it really was interesting to see the dynamic. I actually am going with Josh Jacobs, though. He did only scare me once last season, where like he was like tweeting like an hour before the game that he wasn't playing, and I was like, "What do I do?" He ended up playing, pain in my ass. Like I hate when people do shit like that. But yeah, and like I honestly get all your points too, like with like the amount of games played and like rushing yards. But Josh Jacobs for me, and maybe it's because I've known him longer from playing at Bama, and I just know his capabilities. It's just a performance week after week that it's kind of scary to watch and scary to see. But again, like I had said earlier, I could change to Nick Chubb right now. These are 2 guys that you are more than okay if you have either of them on your team.
Absolutely. That was a good fun to dive into fantasy football for the first time. Like Caitlin said, we're going to be diving in a little bit more with a special guest next week. And obviously, in these final weeks leading up to your fantasy football draft. So please stay tuned. I know everybody always asks us every summer, when do we start with the fantasy talk?
When's fantasy coming? Yeah.
Hey, baby. And we're just going to keep going with it. So stay tuned for tips and all that. But now it is the point in the night where we get it off our chest. Positive, negative, football, housewives, life, wine, whatever you want to vent or passionately talk about. Caitlin, why don't you start?
Yeah, I'll just passionately talk about that. I'm just so thrilled with the amount of people that we've been able to, bring on the show and expand our audience and really just expand, our talking points and our knowledge bases and things like that. We've had people just I love the expansiveness of it. Like we've had Giants people on that have great followings. We've had obviously today with Ariana, a 9-year-old girl playing football, being the only girl on the team and actually, doing the work. Like you do you, girl. We love it. It. And then obviously next week, we won't give too much away, but we're going to dive into fantasy. So it's not, we're not being biased with the Giants again. Maybe some people might think that, but this is actually very unbiased. I promise you the individual is not a Giants fan. But just the opportunities moving forward, we've done so much over the past 3 years and I'm so thrilled about it. And to really open this next chapter of us, the 2 of us, really bringing in, other experts in the field into our dialogues. I love it. It's great. It's just so exciting. So yeah, that's just really it.
I like it.
What do you got?
Totally agree with you there. It's been awesome. And I definitely think just having them on too, opens up their fans, some of the fans, to learning about us, and that only expands the Real Football Fans of New Jersey world and getting more eyeballs on it and listeners and viewers, and that's great. And so we appreciate all of our guests for helping that happen for us. My get it off my chest is like a stupid rapid fire, quick, hot, get it off your chest topics. So
I love it.
First one is that I can't believe I managed to do this, but I am all caught up on Roni. And I want to let you all know that I actually got 4 episodes behind. I didn't realize I was that far behind.
You were behind.
And what I'm saying, I can't believe I did, is that I actually sat through and watched them back to back to back to back. I don't know why I did that to myself.
I feel bad for you.
Like, let's just get it over with. Let's just get it out of the way. And so I have to say, the only comment I have is like, it was exhausting.
Bad.
That's how Caitlin and I feel sometimes watching the reunions.
Last night sucked. I was on my phone. I was scrolling through my phone while watching last night.
Listen, watching 4 episodes in a row, I definitely had points where I was tuning out a bit. But it was painful. It was not fun to watch. I didn't enjoy it. It was definitely like a chore. It was almost like a homework assignment. Like, I'm really far behind and I've been procrastinating. Time to just get it out of the way. Number 2 is that, speaking of fantasy football, I really think this is going to be the very first year in the history of my life that I'm going to play fantasy football.
Yay!
I'm sick of no offense to the Giants. I'm kind of sick of having so many Sundays where the Giants don't win and I'm in a pissed off mood. So I'd at least like to maybe have a fantasy football team that might win on a Sunday, and then it'll even out my mood a little bit.
It doesn't really do much, to be honest.
Yeah, I'll still be pissed off, but there will be a bright little glimmer of hope
I love it.
Unless the Giants and my fantasy team loses that week, then it'll be really miserable. But I think I'm going to do it this year, so I'm very excited about that. It's going to be interesting. We'll see how I feel about it.
I love it.
My last one is show recommendations. I know sometimes we like to, let you know what else we're watching on TV besides the Real Housewives. One is on Netflix, one is on HBO. HBO, I've been telling Caitlin to get into it too. It's right at the beginning. New show called The White Lotus.
Very excited.
Very cool setting in Hawaii. Rich white people vacationing in Hawaii and the drama that unfolds while they're there. Very interesting. Only 2 episodes so far, HBO, so it's not like Netflix, you can't binge it. It airs every Sunday, not sure what time, but episodes 1 and 2 already on demand. Episode 3 will be happening this.
All right, I gotta watch.
Definitely watch before it gets too far along, or unless you just want to completely go and then binge it like Netflix. And then this last one, Caitlin and I both watched it. I didn't get to tell Caitlin that I actually finished it last night. But season 2 of Never Have I Ever, amazing. Oh my God. We're definitely going to be seeing a season 3 for sure, because they kind of left off on a little bit of a cliffhanger. And if you haven't seen it before, seasons 1 and 2 are out on Netflix. We highly recommend it. Caitlin is frozen. But I highly recommend it.
I think I'm back, no?
Well. She's back.
I'm back.
And so, I was saying that there's got to be a season 3, and I was so sad that it was over, and I'm already ready for season 3. If you haven't seen it, again, it's called Never Have I Ever. It's on Netflix. The White Lotus, it is on HBO. Make sure and watch both of those. Those are my recommendations to you all.
I love it. Always looking for a good recommendation for sure. So that is our show tonight. We absolutely loved it. Thank you so much for watching the entire thing, listening to the entire thing on demand right now if you are listening to the pod. Major shout out, major kudos to our guest, Ariana Rizzolo, tonight. She did an absolutely amazing job. 9 years old and already on a freaking podcast. Good for you, girl. And playing football. Good for you. Good for her.
Good for her.
Good for her. As we wrap up tonight's show, we do want to remind you to not miss a couple of things. Real Housewives of Beverly Hills is on Wednesdays at 8 p.m. We're a little bit past that now if you are watching us live, but you can always catch it on demand. Real Housewives of Potomac is back, and it's on Sundays at 9. People have been loving it so far. Rhodey, you might not be loving it like us, but we just got a mid-season trailer. So, Katie, that means there's a lot of episodes left. So we got to keep pushing through Tuesdays at 9 p.m. And guess what, people? HBO's Hard Knocks is 20 days away. And from the Instagram I saw earlier, 50 days away from the NFL kickoff. So let's
Unbelievable.
go. That's what I'm looking forward to.
It'll be here in the blink of an eye. I'm ready.
Let's go. I'm ready. I would pick up. You want to see Athena one more time?
Oh, and thank you to our other special guest, Athena, for gracing with
She's
her
not happy.
little face. Okay.
I just screamed like, ow.
Thanks to you, Athena. Love you, girl.
She pawed me out of the way. I just wanted you to see the guest. Oh, I didn't mean to be mean, Athena, but whatever. She said no. But you saw her. Don't worry. But thank you guys so much. We will catch you next time. And yeah, see you then.
Good night.
Good night.